Hi everybody, my name is Isha, and in this video I will be talking about source code through um, the sacred. And firstly, I'm going, as I always do, to put them in public so that more people can watch it. So it's now. Uh, if you have familiar with the labor that I do, uh, all this connection that I convey through well, then you have probably listened to the source code, to this source code. So the source code, briefly, I will comment. The source code is we have many bodies. That's why we are multidimensional beings. And one of our most forms of body is a geometrical body. We have the physical body, we have the soul body, like there are different ways to these bodies. In the end, we have a lot of layers, a lot of scales to to what we see as the effect, because this physical body is the effect of the cause that is generated from source to all. And one, or the first that comes, the most evolved scale from all those, is the so-called sacred geometry. The geometry is the universal language. As we connect with the core within each one of us that connects us directly, the source to all. There, in that realm, in that field, there is not any thought or idea that would reject or translate into a rejection to connect to essence. In that field, everything is unified, everything is just expressing into in infinite forms that in the end translate into matter. That's what this is reality is, what we call matrix. And most people, most of the humanity, when they are living every daily life, they are not aware which point or from which space they are experiencing their lives. They're just by living. And therefore, what is the effect turns out to be like the origin to all. Like if the materialistic life was the origin to, when we are aware of our multidimensionality, remember that before matter, there was the, the void, the black hole from where everything was. And that black hole emits geometric energy transmitted in geometrical that we, in a cognitive thinking, have translated as these codes that immediately resonate our electromagnetic field and recognize each other activate parts within us that allow us to remember more and more who we are and what we came here for. The source code is this expression of your unique geometry that distinguishes you city from the unity, because it's kind of probable that if you're watching this video, you know by now one, and you have heard about the oneness. To get there, from there, we experience infinite form. And one of these forms, living in this reality of simulated reality, we develop a unique key, a unique geometrical key to our own arc, to our inner arc. So that's the source code. And that you will see in that geometrical translation, that geometry, that is your galactic DNA, your cosmic DNA, your not the DNA, your galactic identification, your galactic ID, like your finger, just translated into your patterns. Well, actually, just one, and that is your key to your arc. And when we're talking about the inner arc, we're talking about that is linked to the Merkaba, and how talking about the arc is that point of, like, in a bigger scale, to what connects us to our most profound you. Profound you is what brings me today to this message to you about the sacred sensuality. So when we talk about the lost you, and if the sensual, sacred sensuality, then you can have already know where we're going to. Heard, and when we were told about the original sin in an Akkadian and also Sumerian language, in Sumerian, the ancient Sumer, it was related to the moon. Sin was the moon god. So by now, the deep influence that the moon on our cycles of life, in the of life, in the reproduction, and so on. Mainly the most fundamental elements to be considered in order to live, which is there is no reproduction, well, except for if we talk about AI, then we get to another topic. Anyway, the natural form of living, of living in this reality, to continue to exist as a cosmic race, is reproduction. And to the moon. And then again, also the time. And when we talk about the original sin, what told about that the original sin is about having, when Adam and Eve got lost in their paradise because they fall for lust. As they got to sexually be together, among many other codes. But yet today we are talking about this. I'm talking about this, and thank you for watching this video. So anyway, that original sin was anchored in the moon, sin again, and was also coded in the human hologram. How? 13 apples, which are torus, that are placed in the articulations in the energetic body. So see the relation between the apple of love and the tree of wisdom, that it's also encoded in the cerebellum and so forth. And when we talk about our body as the biggest torus, the tree, which also is shown in the Celtic civilization, the tree of life, which is and then we have these 13 apples, not one, 13 apples coming from one, the essence, that is that idea of origin. So these 13 apples are located in the 13 articulations, our energetic body and our holographic. When we use the very same force doomed for or generating that exile from the paradise, what we're doing is torsioning, giving a sacred purpose to what happened, finding the essential of something and use it for our highest. And that would relate pretty much to the sacred sexuality, that the priestesshoods and ancient knowledge and ancient hermetic wisdom would come to specific beings that would prove that they would be beyond the need and do it as a conscious choice. So I'm going to explain what's the difference in between sexuality and sacred sensuality. About sacred sexuality, we're talking about the coitus, about conjunction that that is related to a physical interaction, therefore leading to an orgasm. And it can also apply for a non-physical, and that would lead as well to tantra and another practices to connect and to ignite and to use this serpentine vital force. Now, when we and all very important, the etymology of sex is division. When we are engaged and committed to the sacred act of love, then we are to fusion ourselves with whoever to share this act physically and with ourselves. However, I'm talking about sex now, because also the sacred sexuality speaks about when you are intimate yourself. But I'm talking about the root and the etymology to the word sex. So the sex is division. And bottom line, when we are to get to that point of sacrality, then we are not to divide ourselves anymore, yet to unify ourselves. Of course, unify, we had to be divided at some point. That represents the original sin. Now, unifying, going beyond those beliefs, and understand that sex comes when it linked or related to the gender, like the cellular process of duplication in order to generate in the 22nd, the 23rd, that will lead to X case of the males. So that's sex, and that sexualization, that process of that chromosomic process of duplication, division, and that leads to another gender. Talking about generating two different poles. And the communion comes when we're talking about sexual, then sacred sexuality. That sacredness is the part of fusioning, of merging back the ones that once were divided. So I talk about now, when we talk about sensual, the sacred, we're not talking just about physical coitus, about being fully conscious about all receptors, sensorial receptors, and that are perceived matrix and beyond this matrix. This can be through the five senses, through the eight senses, through the infinite senses that come as a fusion of what to perceive of the from source to all. And then we come to how much energy we are daily experiencing and not being conscious of it. Thank you, Jane. And how that we are not conscious of what we are doing, our whole energy. We know that when we are mainly focused in something, then we are think most of our energy to that specific event. However, what about the thoughts? What about the breath? What about the words when we speak, when we look, when we how much energy going through our body? And when we are present, then we're capable to enjoy the experience, come to embody right here, right now. And when we talk about the stage that humanity is going through at this moment, there is a lot of the word sovereignty, importance of being, of having sovereignty, of knowing, acknowledging our right to embody. And we can know also that that is pretty related to the origin. When we see the connection, then we understand everything is perfect. Even what we thought that was a mistake led to live a whole experience recognition, of self-recognition, in order to assume that are in the right, free of choose what we are up to create in our lives. And this is quite, actually, we turn it out complex. We try to deny what it is. For instance, time. Time, we know it's not linear. Time is linear indeed, because we, that way, we create a whole structure based on that. So somehow it is. However, when we go to the essence, time is spiraling. Time is a continuum that, when we ask ourselves, why? Why would we, and why we would skip an undeniable truth, and why would we live for a lie, for an illusion that is not coherent to our own nature, is where polarity comes. What we translate in as dual, good and bad, in terms of the universe, it translates as polarity. So when we remember in the experiences, where am I? Where am I standing at this moment? Everything that I'm witnessing, from everything that I'm experiencing, where am I? Experience. Then we remember to that we are the axis, and that this axis of this torus, remembering to embody, to fully embody, choose what we are doing with our own body, with our universe, like the kids that are not longer that small, that young, and that they are their parents, proving their parents that they are prepared to make their own decisions. So the parents, and we would be the ones making conscious choices in order to prove ourselves that we are ready to use the full potential of our energy. It requires presence. So we know about ancient practices that would connect with the vital force, such as Tantra, and that would show, and that show easy way to go deep and be very aware of how are you using your energy. Now, when I'm talking about the sacred sensuality, something I came with, I started connecting to what I call the Isis arc. Again, when I talk about Isis, I about this code, primordial code, leads us to the configuration of the particle, because in each edge, one of the four extremes to the particle of, there is a specific code that will lead us to Zion. One of them stands for Isis. So this related to the cosmology. Now, when I tune and I remember through, again, Isis arc, it is all merged with the beginning of humanity, all that designing process from where the human was originated. And that's why it is Genesis, as we have heard it or read it in the Bible and in another ancient texts. Genesis comes Gen Isis, and regardless of what you might how you might feel about you can feel to Egyptian cosmology, Isis represents that in yen, that primordial yen, before it was manipulated a considerable extent. When we talk about the Gen Isis, we are talking also stellar or interstellar seed that could Iris, and that which is the O of the within the particle of light, and conjunction in between these two universes, what is the Vesica Pisces, Isis, the Vesica Pisces, and that it led to the process until we reach the 8 original cells within the coccyx. And these 8 original cells lead to hypercube, well, to the cube and then to the hypercube. And what is the cube? Cube, the Kaaba, like for instance, Kaaba, La, also connected to Allah as the creator. These are different names. I'm talking about one divine force and about these codes. For instance, Kaaba in Mayan, in Mayan language, is my name is. My name is. So we can see that the cube is very in the codes that we can perceive, that we can perceive from the ancient wisdom, the ancient. When we look at the tetrahedron star, the cube is embedded in it. And then again, Merkaba. So when the cube unfolds, it unites hypercube from the octahedron into the hypercube or the which represents the 4th dimension. And dimension is the bridge in between the 3rd, obviously, and the 5th dimension. So that's what we are going through right now. Timelines collapsing, the statement that time is an illusion, is a linear form, and that we are capable to travel in time all the time when we are remembering, because then again, for the unconscious, what is and what is not. What we believe when we smell something, then we are living again, reviving. And for the unconscious, it is happening. So this is the beauty. When we step into relativity and how relate to at every scale, then dimension transit of also as timelines timelines are merging, and they have always done that. The thing is that we are conscious because layers and layers and layers of incoherence now being flushed away by the primordial within. And where are those primordial waters coming from? When we connect with the plasma, the solar plasma coming from Alcyon, coming from this sun, from the sun of the solar system, and coming from a third party, which will now soon come to a clearer surface, is the twin sister of the sun, which again is nemesis, again, Nem-Isis, which is the highest form of Isis, the pristine gen. And where does this pristine gen come from? Bottom line, the galactic community. And when we talk about the community, we can see how more and more people are connecting with all this information, translating codes, and it's all over the media. We know we have plenty of information by now. Like, you want to know about it unfolds, a cube unfolds, a sphere unfolds. So, what could we benefit from at this moment if we already have lots and information? Well, action, manifestation, and that comes from the most part within us, and that the form perception or sacred perception of it is through the senses. Within our brain, we have specific actions and patterns that are connected to the Orion's nebula. Well, told us. In this case, why I'm mentioning this is related to the lost jewel of Orion, also known for Orion's Nebula, or Messier 42, and this stellar code is pulsing in connection with our pineal gland. I say that the pineal gland is this antenna. Look, connects with all the space memory, with all the lat, and it was anchored in a specific point. Peak point connects also with our G point in our genital, and then it also connects with the Orion's sword or nebula or jewel. All of our senses, for instance, if I'm as I am here right now, and I allow myself to connect with the energy that my computer, my laptop is emitting, and to connect beyond brain with whoever is watching this video, then I can see how my electromagnetic field is expanding through the web. Yes, the thing is that about your question, James, so it is when we move back to our 0 point, we bring it all back into phase. When we talk about the 0 point, if we consider ourselves as a torus, we are not only the axis, we are the extensions to the axis. We are all that energy flowing and merging in infinite quantum of information and coming back to the core. So this is an infinite cycle. It won't stop. It's not like, okay, we are in the zero, this is it. The key, as how I perceive it, is to be able to transfer ourselves to all that motion experiences, remembering that we will come back to the axis because we have from the axis. So that's the beauty. This is the beauty. And there isn't a specific way from the, let's say, Syrian codes of how to restore the luminescence pattern of the primordial gen within our brain. Pulsing the intermittence, the synchronized intermittent stellar codes that are embedded in the human hologram, the zodiac signs, and beyond the zodiac signs, as each has a specific purpose within the human hologram. So when we do this from our source, we are configuring our reality, projecting holographically all the energy and restoring it using the intensity of the power within, of the force within, and apply to that potential, choosing where are we heading to that energy. So about this, because in about a month, I will be facilitating an online course related to how to use your source code with the art of the sacred sensuality. And this not only, as I said, how to enter in an intimate state with yourself through the root and the sacral, yet also with all your receptors, of course, all your chakras, and disabling the fish in the torus within your 13 articulations, 13 apples, remember, so that your full hologram will be enabled and ignited, and that you reconnect your capability that as children we had capability of the miracle of life, of everything, and creating magic from every experience, because we magic itself. We give life. We are capable to give life, physical, we give life at every moment as we are. And when we talk about giving life to matter, talking about the highest form of manifestation in this. Now, when we do that consciously, we do it from the precise configuration within the holographic field where everything started, from the geometrical field dimension where everything started from the source, right from the source. We're talking about really embodying that divinity. The origin, the cause, effect. Way, because this is also very important. Evolution is not turning complex and complex. Evolution is to remember. Assuming makes it simple. Denying complex, and we get to choose. So this, I will be recording other videos before this, before next month, in about a month, not next, about a month. So like 4 weeks from now, I will start this course online. So if you're interested, you can grab that email. I will write down in description. It's a cyclic completion from within to without, and from without or outward. It is a full cycle. It is a full cycle. Those moments when we remember that we are the that create our reality, and we are the effect of our creation. We are everything. We are the wholeness. Having said this, in about 4 weeks, I will be sharing more information about this course. And if you're interested in and you want to translation of your source code, you can also write to the email that I am putting in the description below this video. Thank you very much for, and who knew?